an opportunity to speak to the public session, but not at the time. Meeting being filmed and by being present, attending the film as the use of those sound audit. Attendees must disclose any personal information of individuals as this is a breach of speaking, please. First item on the agenda, apologies for absence. We have apologies to Councillor Patel, Councillor Skilton, so the next item on the agenda is the declaration of interests. Are there any declarations of interest in relation to any item on the agenda?
You turn your microphone on.
I've just noticed that I wasn't. Yes, thank you. Any declarations of interest? Thank you. No. Okay. Well, we'll move straight on then to town mayor's announcements, and I've got two things I wanted to mention really. The first one was that on Tuesday, the 1st of August, I visited the Sue Ryder St John's Hospice in Moghanger. As one of the three chosen charities this year, I wanted to understand a little bit more about the hospice, about the facilities, the staff, the patients, and about the care provided. And you probably all know this, but the hospice provides essential palliative care and bereavement support for people facing the most difficult times of their lives, whether that's terminal illness, death of someone close to them, or a neurological condition. And I think I have to say they do an amazing job there. It was just quite humbling walking around there. And so on Wednesday, we had, so this is Wednesday the 2nd of August, we had the first of the Mayor's charity events. This is a pub quiz at the Rose. There were a number of us councillors that attended. The event was a complete sellout, and we actually raised over £1,100 for the three charities, but I think is really pleased with that. From a variety of things, whether the tickets and the raffle tickets, but that's around about £300 minimum for each of the charities, which is fantastic. Great to have guests from elsewhere. So we had other mayors from other towns. We had support from all of the charities, the three charities that supporting, obviously town councils and a lot of other people as well. I think it's safe to say that the raffle was probably a little bit long. Those that did attend were, it got to a point where it's epic, or I think it was being heckled at one point. I think the main thing there is to thank Eamon and Sarah at the Rose for the brilliant quiz. It was a bit challenging. Some members that attended found it more easy than others. And I think I'd also like to thank Alison and Funda for the help organising it. So the next item then for me is public open session. So we're going to adjourn for a period of up to 15 minutes to allow members of the public to put questions or to address the council. So do we have anyone wishing to speak? Hello. Are we on?
Is it on? Is it on? Okay.
Would you mind saying your name, please?
My name's Deborah Fisher.
Thank you.
First of all, I just want to say I've read the new plan, or the outline for the plan for the town square, and I think it's been brilliantly written. A lot of fabulous research has gone into it, and I think certainly there seem to be some learnings from the refurbishment back in the 90s, notably the what was used on the footpaths and stuff, because we know it's got to be a little bit of a mess. But one thing, apologies if I've missed it, but has there been any consideration for the direction of traffic for Hitchin Street? Because I know over the last few years, there has been quite a lot of volume on social media from residents that it's potentially going the wrong way. Thank you. I'll leave that with you.
Okay. I think there's been a lot of discussion around the traffic on Hitchin Street and whether or not it should be reversed back to what it was, etc. I think what we've decided here is that we haven't included it within the brief for the companies to take forward, and we've sort of left it to a point where it may be something that they consider. So we're not tying our hands in a way. So I think it's fair to say that clearly we can discuss that if members felt it was appropriate to do so. But I think at the moment what we're trying to do is give them an outline brief to come forward with ideas to improve our market square, our town centre. Councillor Whittaker.
Last time I was here, you asked for an update on Lawrence Road. We had a members briefing on that, myself and Councillor Page earlier this week. The design is apparently done, although I hadn't seen it, and I don't think anybody else has seen it either. And I understand it might be going out to consultation by the end of this week, but officers have said they'll send us a copy of that design, and obviously we will let you have that as soon as we have it. But it's still in Q4 for being completed. So it's expected to go out to consultation anytime soon. And the other thing, just to let members know, is that you've got the We Buy Any Car application in front of you today. And just let you know that I have called that in on the basis of a loss of 12 parking spaces and the fact that there is no footpath for keeping pedestrians safe in that area. And actually, reading the officers' reports as well, they pointed out that actually a low loader has to come and collect the cars from the site as well, which I think is also adding to the lack of safety for pedestrians. So just to make you aware, that's already called in.
Thank you very much, Councillor Whittaker. That's helpful. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone online? 2 people online wishing to speak. No one wishing to speak. Okay, lovely. Okay, in which case then we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is members' questions, please. Do we have any members' questions? No. Okay. So next item then, minutes and recommendations of meetings. So we've got, as you will see, we've got 4 sets of minutes. Essentially, we need to go through the town council minutes, but the other 3 are essentially for information only, bearing in mind that they've been approved by the committee. So unless there's something you particularly want to refer to within the minutes of the joint committee, the F&GP and personnel committee, my intention is to note those as they've already been dealt with. But in terms of the town council meeting, so we are going to go to page number 6 firstly, and then page number 6 for accuracy. Any issues, please? Page 7. That's relevant.
I'm not sure if it's accuracy or not. It might just be confusion in my head. But on number 6, there's an issue of parking at Biggles Corner. Is that correct? Is that a place?
Yeah.
Is it?
Children's home on the corner of Drove. Sorry, it's the children's home on the corner of Drove Road and Banks Road.
But yes, that was a question, and council would have particularly used those words as well. Thank you. And so nothing else. Page 7, page 8, then please. Page 9, Councillor Alban.
Yeah. Sorry, this is very minor, but in 8B, at the bullet points at the bottom, there's a license agreement which is spelled incorrectly and doesn't tally the other license agreement in the main body.
Have we spelt it incorrectly?
Yes, it's spelled as a verb rather than a noun.
Thank you. Didn't spot that one. Okay, thank you. Next, anyone? Councillor Strawn?
No, I'm on page 9.
Page 9, sorry, go on to page 9. Page 9.
Right. Second point down at the top about the rail. What legal implications? I think that should be obligations rather than implications, because the indication is that we want them to make sure it needs to be staffed, not just implied, which is, so it was obligations, I believe.
Members happy with that? Okay, thank you. Anything else on page 9, please? No. Page 10. Page 11. And page 12. Sorry, page 11.
Yeah, the paragraph at the top of page 11, the application calls for a change of use of land from the stationing of 2 transit pitches to, I don't really think that top line's needed. What we're trying to say is that the 2 permanent pitches with associated parking and amenity units should be stationed, not which should be, but should be stationed further away from the road. And that's not the case with this proposal. So I'd like to take out the whole of the top line and put the in front of the 2 on the second line, and take out which on the third line.
So take out.
Yes, so that it reads, the 2 permanent pitches for gypsy and traveller use with associated parking and amenity units should be stationed further away from the road, and that is not the case with this proposal.
Okay. Happy with that, members? Seems reasonable to me. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, Councillor Russell. Anything else? Oh, okay. So as I said, unless you particularly want to talk about anything on the other items, we will move on. No? Okay. In which case, we'll go back to matters arising for the Town Council meeting on the 25th. So again, for matters arising, page 6, please. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Councillor Russell.
Could I just thank Councillor Whittaker for coming back with that information that we asked for at the last meeting?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Right. So we will go then on to the next item, which is items for consideration. This is the external audit report 9A. So let's find the right page. Thank you, page 29. We'll work our way through to the right page eventually. So you have the report in front of you. Any of the officers wish to make a comment, or are you happy to? The report is self-explanatory. I'm going to open it up for members to comment. Councillor Strawn, please.
Yes, I think we should. I think I was actually going to make the proposal, which just says to consider. I think that members note the external auditor's report and that officers take all the necessary actions as required and recommended by the auditors and regulations, which includes the publication of the report, etc., as necessary. I think that covers it all. It seems to be a satisfactory report.
Do I have a second for that proposal? Okay, thank you, Councillor. Anyone else wish to comment? Okay, so all those in favour of that then, please. That looks to be unanimous. Thank you very much. So next item then is the management accounts reports and 9B. Thank you, Colin. Say it a bit louder next time, I can't hear you. So this is page number 40. This is in relation to the new format of the management accounts. This is something obviously been to FGP. I am going to leave it to Councillor Strawn to make comments on it as a starting point. Over to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I actually welcome this, and I think that members will have found the new report helpful because it actually gives a commentary and explains the figures, which the previous reports had the figures, but they were very bare. And you can see certain things that possibly chairmen of various committees, including my own, need to consider. And I welcome the report in this format. It makes it a lot clearer. And of course, all the other reports that we used to have presented to us and indeed have tonight will still be available for viewing from the website. So I think this is a vast improvement on where we are. And I think it's been very helpful. And I thank the officers for coming up with the report in this form.
Okay, any other comments, please? Councillor Russell.
Just to say that it is small type and I don't really like the coloured background underneath the figures in the column there. But given that more information is available online and given that this saves paper for the written report, then fine, I'm happy to go with it. But it's not the easiest for me to read.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Russell. Members, any other comments that you'd like to make in relation to this report? Okay, no. So do I have a proposal then, please? Councillor Russell? I'm still looking for someone to make a proposal.
The proposal is to adopt this form of reporting to council.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? All those in favour, please. Thank you very much. Next item then is 9C. This is the Market Square and Town Centre brief. So we're on page 43. So Isaac's here. So Mr. Lord, over to you. We'd like to introduce, if you'd like to.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to members that have attended I think the 3 workshops that we've had on this. I don't actually have much to say other than what's on the report itself, but thank you.
Okay, so this, what I will say from this, the whole point of this is to have a brief, a vision brief that we can put out to tender so that we've got something to send out. So it's not the finished article, but it does give us some parameters for us to work with. Happy to take comments. I've got Councillor Albo here. So Councillor Albo, please.
Yeah, so under roads, pedestrianisation and paving, there's a paragraph that begins the town council is willing to consider reducing the overall number of parking spaces. I personally would prefer to see something that indicates that we don't want to see the motor car dominating the square as much as it does at the moment. So I'm going to suggest some wording in that at the beginning, after the town council, the town council would like to see the dominance of motor vehicles in the market square reduced and is willing to consider the overall number of parking spaces, etc. So it's just that small section in the front, just to give some indication that I would like to see that the market square not dominated as much by motor vehicle parking as it is today.
Okay, Councillor Russell. Thank you, Councillor Albo.
I understand where Councillor Alban's coming from, but we tried to keep this brief as wide as possible. I mean, we've already had a member of the public raise an issue that we could consider when we're looking at this. This is simply a brief to give urban designers the chance to quote to do the work for us. This is not a finished product. We will be considering all sorts of things. And we talked in the working group about how many parking spaces we could lose and whether we could re-provide them elsewhere, because our current policy as a town council is that if we lose parking spaces, we try to re-provide them elsewhere so that we don't lose overall, given that we've got to worry about the businesses in the market square as well as about the amenity of the market square. So I can't support what Councillor Alban's saying, and I'd like to propose that we go ahead with this and that we ask Mr. Lord to go out to various urban designers. And I know Councillor Skilton has given him some names. I've given him a couple of names that the council have used before, and that we see what comes back. And what we actually want from those urban designers is to hold at least 2 workshops with councillors and see about what other consultation we might want to do before we come up with a final vision for the market square. So this is very much a first step, and I think we were very clear in the working group that everything is up for consideration. So I'd like to propose that we ask Mr. Lord to go ahead.
Okay, and have a seconder. Councillor Knight seconding, and Councillor, did you wish to speak as well?
Briefly, if I may, thank you. So I think our town centre has become scruffy and desperately needs some investment. Of course, the town centre or the town square is currently owned by Central Beds Council, but I believe this council needs to get on the front foot and develop a vision and some high-level designs, and that will put us in a much better place, I think, to work with Central Beds as they start to develop designs. I think it is important to note that the document before us tonight is a brief for urban planners, so it's not a reflection of final policy, and we did strive to make it as neutral as possible, as Councillor Russell has said, outlining some of our high-level beliefs, but really letting professionals do some of the analysis around traffic flow and the right balance between pedestrianisation and vehicles. It's not intended to be prescriptive, and indeed we expect to meet a number of times with the urban planners so we can have an iterative discussion with them. So I think it's important that we get the right balance between vehicles and people, and I support the recommendation as set out.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate actually what all the councillors have said. I think if you look throughout the document, there are certain points in there where it does emphasise that pedestrians and cars both need to be looked after. So hopefully that will help allay any worries. And it does speak about conflict between vehicles and pedestrians, albeit on Hitchin Street. I don't know if maybe as we work through the workshops with the planners, we can give them more commentary on that in total. It also talks about, as you go further down that paragraph there, about the area being accessible for all members of the community, including those with disabilities, and retaining a vibrant and commercially successful market square. One of the things that we discussed was about the convenience factor and wanting to attract people to the town. So having that balance, maybe each time we have town events, we're encouraging people to come into town on foot which will hopefully send a message on how convenient it is to walk into town depending upon where you live as well. So I'm hopeful that all those points can help combat any worries about motor vehicles taking over.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Does anybody else wish to comment? Councillor Barrett.
Sorry, most of the other comments are quite positive and will and would and must and have, whereas this actual paragraph starts the town council is willing to. Perhaps if that was changed, the town council will consider reducing. It might bring us somewhere between, just to provide a little bit of balance to that.
Okay, so I have a proposal and a seconder. I think it's, you're proposing an amendment there, Councillor Barrett. So Councillor Russell, how do you feel about that amendment, bearing in mind it's your proposal?
I think we were very, very careful with our choice of words, and we are willing to consider it, but there are all those other things to take into consideration. So I'm not really happy to take on board what Councillor Barrett's saying.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any other comments then, please? In which case, if there are no further comments, the proposal is that we, the officers engage with urban designers, and that within that we, as part of that, there is at least two meetings with them at the point when we've engaged the relevant people. Are you happy with that recommendation? So all those in favour of that, please. Any against? Oh, sorry, I didn't put my hand up. I'm not putting my hand up now against it. Sorry about that. So that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item then on the agenda is the Biggleswade Station Interchange Bus Gate. So we are on whatever page we're on next. This is on page number 52. So essentially is to avoid dangers to persons and other traffic, to introduce a bus gate. I think it's been established that bus gate is a theoretical bus gate, is not actually a proper gate. So we've established that, for clarity, it's a white lining exercise. So members, any comments, any questions, anything you would like to say in relation to this item, please? Councillor Russell.
Have we actually established its white lining? And if we have established that, if this is brought in, how is it going to be enforced? Because I haven't seen anything yet that says exactly what it's going to be.
I think that's fair.
I do think we need to know, because it's either very intrusive if it's being enforced by cameras and that, or it's very cumbersome if it's an actual gate. If it's just signage and white lines, then there is the enforcement issue. Is it going to be rising bollards like they have for a lot of bus places, where each bus then has to have something in the cab to put the bollard down when it arrives there? I mean, we don't know, and we don't really know why this is being brought forward at the moment. The bus interchange isn't even in use, and will there be a problem when it is in use? I just asked the question.
Fair comment. Any other comments? Councillor Knight and then Councillor Strawn.
I think Councillor Russell has summarised the problem well. So this wasn't obviously part of the original design. The exchange hasn't opened yet, so we don't know if there's a problem. So it's not even clear to me whether this is necessary, but there's just not enough detail here in terms of enforcement. The name gate suggests some physical barrier. So I propose that we go back to Central Beds and ask for more detail around their proposals, and whether it is really necessary to bring these forward at this time, or maybe actually the interchange should operate for a period of time before they look at further changes.
Okay, Councillor Strawn.
Just to continue on this point, the idea of introducing a bus gate, I think, is misleading. Basically, what it's saying is that the area coloured blue is not to have any private vehicles on it except buses, and it should be saying something like that. So I think it's very poorly proposed, and I think they should explain it more clearly so that we actually understand what it means. And I think what it means is that no cars, etc., should be going onto the area coloured blue. just putting in the word bus gate is a phrase that planners might be aware of, but the rest of the population, comprising 99.9% of it, wouldn't have a clue.
Thank you, Councillor Strawn. Councillor Albo.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if our CBC councillors would be able to throw any light on this.
Okay, Councillor Whitaker. Members, before we do that, we have to do this formality of standing orders. So are you happy? Good, thank you very much. Move on.
Thank you. You're absolutely right, it's not a true gate. If you think of it like the Venus Avenue bus gate in Kingswood, exactly the same principle, it's a bus gate, but it's not a gate. Essentially, it's a piece of road you can't travel along. I think the reason for doing it is because if people work from the station, because there isn't a formal space for people to be collected from, it's the station. If people did start parking in that turning area in the bus station, it would stop any buses from getting in there at all and to use the bus station. So I think that's the rationale for doing it. Because it would only take one car to park in there and your bus interchange would be completely unusable. So I can understand that that's the rationale. How it will be enforced, I agree, that isn't clear from this document. I would expect it to be any deal in line with what we've seen in the other case.
Thank you, Councillor Whitaker. Go on then, Councillor Russell. You're up there now, Councillor. Don't sit down yet. Have you finished yet?
No.
Thank you, Councillor Whitaker. So reinstate standing orders. Councillor Russell.
I was just going to say that I'd like to second still what Councillor Knight's proposed, because I think we do need more information.
Happy with that? Okay, any other members wishing to speak? So essentially what we're saying is the document doesn't give us enough information, and at this point we're not making any further comment until we've actually had clarity from the documentation and asking officers to provide the information from CBC. So all those in favour of that, please? That's unanimous, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda then is D-Day anniversary guide. So essentially this is members consider receive the correspondence to the Central Beds Council. I think it's safe to say that it's not a Central Beds Council document. So there's but it's in relation to D-Day, and you have the sheet there. It's in relation to advising the town council that it's obviously the D-Day celebrations. Councillor Knight, over to you.
Thank you. So I think this is an important anniversary that we should mark. I'd like to make a simple proposal. I think the next TCM meeting is in October, so there's some time. What I'd like to propose is that officers consider options and present a report to TCM in October for TCM to consider how we mark this occasion.
Okay. Seconded. Any other comments in relation to this? Councillor Alban.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it definitely is an important event and warrants marking. It's interesting to note that at least 2 previous town councillors took part in this operation. So it's Councillor Cook and ex-councillor Vic Brunt was also part of the operation. There may be others that I'm not aware of.
Excellent. Okay, but that's good to know. So, but in terms of the proposal, it's proposed as is seconded. Any other comments in relation to this one? So, in which case, all those in favour, please. That's unanimous again. Thank you very much. So we're moving on now to item 10, planning applications. So 10A, Unit P A1 London Retail Park, Station of the Pod. Will you buy any car? Comments, please, members. You've already heard from Councillor Whitaker that this has been called in. So I'm going to go Councillor Alban first, then Councillor Russell.
Yeah, I noticed those the same comments that on the officers' reports that Councillor Whitaker referred to. So I am going to propose we object on the grounds of loss of parking, but also more importantly because of the transporter issue coming in, a danger to members of the public. All other deliveries for the retail park to take place outside of the car park behind the stores. This is very different, and I think it does present a danger.
Thank you, Councillor Alban. Councillor Russell?
I think Councillor Alban said it all, so if that's his proposal, I'll second it.
Okay. Members, any other comments? So to clarify then, we're objecting on the grounds of loss of parking and essentially highway safety or safety on, it's on the retail park, so it's not the highway as such, but it's safety to the public, which is broadly within the highways element. All those in favour then, please. Thank you, that's unanimous again. And then we have item 10B, which is the fascia sign in relation to the same location. Comments, please, Councillor Russell.
Object on the same basis, but can we specifically mention the low loader in the car park and the point that was made about all other deliveries are not made in the car park?
Yes, we can. I think we have that within there. So thank you. So we have a proposal to object along the same lines in relation to item 10B. Happy with that? Okay. We'll move on then. Item 11, planning application outcomes. So you have the report. Any comments, please? Can find it. Find it before I do. Here we go. Right, we're on page 57 then. Any comments? Are we just noting this one for now? Oh, Councillor Russell.
Just noting it, but noting in particular the two items where we objected, but unfortunately things have been allowed. So the discharge of the condition on the land off Drove Road and the variation of condition on Lindsell's Crossing have both been approved, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it is. I think we still have to do our bit, don't we? Of course we do. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? No. Okay. So next item then is the accounts. So obviously item 12, the financial accounts, on the basis this is in the old format. Going forward, we'll have the new format. So any comments, please? Councillor Strawn, over to you.
I think members have seen the reports before. We've seen it for some time. We've agreed that we're going to have a different form of report, but this information will still be available to members and the public. So I move we note the reports.
Seconded, please. Any seconding? Okay. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much. Item 13 then, this is items of information. So Mr. Lord here just to give us a CCTV status update. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I chased BT yesterday and received a response this afternoon. They're still awaiting the time estimates, but they have received the kit and sent it out for testing. That's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to make any comments in relation to the report? It appears not. Councillor Russell?
Just to say thank you to Mr. Lord for sticking with this, because it's been a long progress.
We mentioned the word epic earlier. I think this is another epic thing that we need to talk about. But it's good the fact that we have been able to get Section 106, and and I think we just need to, as we always are now, I just keep plugging away at Section 106, identifying where there's an opportunity for Section 106, and be aware of what we can do, which is very good. Okay, next item then is the BTC allotment meeting. Any comments in relation to this, members? No. Councillor Russell again?
Just to say that it's good to see that we're developing a good working relationship with the allotment holders, and thank you for that, for all involved.
Okay. Any other comments, please? So in which case we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a public open session to adjourn for a period of up to 15 minutes to allow members of the public to put questions or to address the council in respect to any other business in relation to the town council. Councillor Whittaker.
Very quickly, just to say, Corinne, I've just sent you an article about near Market Square. I don't know if anyone has seen what they're doing, and there's a lot of there are lots of matters between Market Square and Market Square in the High Street, both on the that they've managed to include. And they're just about to start a £15 million renovation of their Market Square. So I've just sent them an article showing what that's going to look like, to see if it might be inspiration to.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, go ahead. Okay.
First of all, I just wanted to give an update on the council's been looking into this with the timings for the Aston car parks. And a couple of weeks ago, it was pandemonium in there when a scandal went off. Everybody had full basket scan, and we received a phone today, and 45 minutes to keep the scan going was just bonkers. So I just wanted to be having
Councillor Russell will be thrilled to answer this question, I'm sure. So I'm going to, Councillor Russell, over to you.
Councillor Russell has to admit defeat.
Can we go on record to say that, Councillor Russell?
I gave up in the end, but it's obvious that Asda is not in a very good financial position since it was taken over by the two brothers who I think own petrol stations as well, and they've combined the business. I understand they're quite heavily in debt. They're looking for every penny they can get, and I don't think I'm slandering them within the meeting. It's what you read in the financial press. So I don't think we're going to get anywhere with them. I think the only thing that's going to have an impact is if they lose custom. But I understand that for a lot of people, it's in a very useful place in the town centre.
It's very disappointing, the fact that we end up in this position, bearing in mind the essentially the wording of the agreement allowed a different interpretation to what has been implemented for however many years, 20 years or so. So the fact that they've chosen to interpret it in a different way is, I think, more than disappointing. We've tried really everything. We've written to various people. With Central Beds have been involved. Ultimately, yes, we have to sadly admit defeat on it, but it's very, very disappointing.
Australia, it's expanding on, I mean, you touched on CCTV, something that I've observed probably just in the last 10 days, been persistent abuse of one-way streets in town. I was in DD's for their evening that they had last week. So the stretch of road, I don't know what it's called, around the bus waiting area, both between DD and the Halifax. 2 cars within 10 minutes coming up the wrong way, parking, and using it there. And really one where it's persistent abuse, it's really a way walk almost every day down the block. And people coming right out of Copeland's home. So going a long way down the block and also out of the car park there. I know a lot of them, I don't know if CBC or Town Council, we automated everything and CCTV near the bottom road, which because of that is one way to try and capture abuses there. I just wanted to be something that could be considered, because obviously pedestrians, people coming into the town centre, using the town centre, you've got people with various vulnerabilities not expecting the car to be coming the wrong way.
Thank you very much. I think you're quite right. I mean, it doesn't fall directly within the responsibility of the town council, but we very much should be taking some action wherever we can, and that may be writing to Central Beds or asking our ward councillors to take it up on our behalf. But it's clearly an issue in a number of locations actually, and you've highlighted a couple. So I think perhaps we can note it, and maybe ward members, are you able to help us with that as a starting point?
Happy to help. Also right and ask for a review of all the signage in those key areas, because that will help us to help you.
Absolutely. Yep. Go ahead, Councillor Owen. Thank you.
Yeah, just Councillor Whittaker's comments just reminded me the cycle contraflow signs down the balk. Some of those just been twisted round, and so if a motorist isn't familiar with the area and they're not expecting a contraflow, that could cause issues.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, so this council did originally oppose cameras on Sun Street, I believe, when they were discussed for enforcement. And I think the point around signage is really important. I don't believe that people willingly or willfully drive the wrong way down the street And I think the problem is probably people don't have clear signage. So when they pull out of a home, for example, is there a sign in front of them clearly making it one way? Possibly not. And I think what we need to focus is on signage rather than enforcement, because a letter 2 weeks later telling you you've got a fine doesn't stop you hurting somebody who's crossing the road. So I think it's got to be the signage that we focus on.
Happy with that? I think that's something we can take forward. Okay. Go on, Councillor Russell. I thought I'd finished.
I just wanted to comment briefly on the bus exit lane.
Go on.
And to say that we've had all sorts of discussions in the past and have been told that there isn't the right traffic regulation order on the bus exit lane to allow enforcement of parking infringements. But we constantly have not just the parking, but we have people turning in. We have people coming out of the bus exit lane that they're not supposed to. It's supposed to be for buses only. All I can say is that if we get anywhere with our market square, hopefully that flipping bus exit lane will be closed.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the public open session and that concludes the meeting. Thank you very much.